as a man, if the idea of sitting in your own thoughts, the idea of sitting in your own company scares you, then this is something you probably want to work on. And it's something that I had to work on myself as well. I feel like for a man to have full mastery over his life, he needs to have full mastery over his ability to be alone, to be by himself. And I feel like it's quite sad the place it's gotten to where men feel like they need to constantly be bouncing from relationship to relationship, to constantly be with someone, to constantly be surrounded by friends, to constantly be surrounded by distractions and all these things going on, and not be truly happy within himself. And ultimately, guys, you are the only person you can count on. Now, I'm not saying we don't have friends, we don't have family. Obviously, we can count on people in our life, right, if you have good people around you. But you are the only person that matters, because ultimately it's all down to you. Everything in your life will stem from your ability to master your mindset. And one of those things is mastering that ability to be alone. And I feel like you've probably seen it before as well, same as myself. You might have even been one of these people. One of these guys who can't actually be happy within himself because he's almost masking that thing that's stopping him from just being by himself, and it's actually scaring him. And I can remember at one point in my life, it was actually a Wednesday midway through the week, and it was when I knew that it all sort of clicked for me, being able to be in my own company. It was a Wednesday, halfway through the week. It was probably about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I ended up driving to the top of this hill near my house. The sun was setting, and I ended up sitting on this hay bale for probably about 2 or 3 hours, literally just watching the sun go down, hearing the birds chirp away. I didn't have my phone near me. My phone was in the car. I was just sat there, not caring the world, not thinking about anything else, literally just listening to the birds chirp, watching the sun go down, feeling the wind on my face. I can almost remember it like it was yesterday. But I can remember at that point, I knew that I was truly happy within my own company. And I feel like it's important for every one of you guys to be able to do the same thing. And if you're in a position right now where you feel like the idea of being alone is quite scary, then it's something you need to run towards as opposed to running away from. I always say, if it's scary, then most likely it's something that's going to make you grow. And if that idea of being alone is scary to you, then you need to practice more of it. And it can be simple. It can be simple by just going for a walk by yourself. Then it can be, I don't know, going to a meal by yourself, for example, going out and having some food, going for drinks by yourself, anything like that. It could be a trip away by yourself, going away for a couple of days somewhere, just renting a cabin and just literally being within yourself and your own thoughts. I feel like it's so important for every man to be able to do this, because if not, you're almost building a foundation that's not going to be solid. I feel like everything stems from your ability to be alone as a man, to be able to be happy within your own company. And then everything that comes from that, your relationships, your friendships, your family, your life, everything else, you want a solid foundation to build upon. And if it's not, then it's very, very easy for that whole house to blow over. So being able to build that foundation is super, super important. And like I said, the way to do this is just by practicing it. It's just by putting steps in place that are going to help you overcome that fear of being alone. Now, it might take time. I know for me, the thing that helped me over all these years was actually doing stuff like this, content, was actually chasing what I was passionate about. Now, it's very easy as men for us to sort of get pushed into a certain direction, whether that's people we don't want to be around, whether that's a certain lifestyle we don't want to be living, whether that's drugs, alcohol, going out on the weekends constantly when you want to pursue something else, like something creative, like a career, or like being a content creator, or whatever it may be, right? You might have something you actually give a shit about, you're actually passionate about, but you're getting swayed in a different direction. You need to be a bit selfish. You need to really put yourself first, because the only way you're going to be able to help the people around you is by being truly happy within yourself. So chase that passion. I know for myself, from the age of 13, 14, I was making YouTube videos. Now, I can remember going into school, and I can remember, don't get me wrong, I was never bullied by any extent, but I can remember going into school and girls like a year or two above literally taking the piss out of me, being like, oh, here he comes, blah, 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 doing the YouTube videos and shit like that. And I was just like, yeah, and what? I literally can remember turning around and just saying to them, yeah, and what? I think I was like year 9, year 8 at the time. But in that moment, it's just like, you're not going to fucking stop me. What? I'm going to listen to you because you said a couple words. And I feel like it's so important that you need to realise, like, follow your passion. Follow the thing that makes you happy. And don't pretend to be something you're not. Because ultimately, all it's going to end in is your ruin. All it's going to end in is things just completely cascading. And obviously, we don't want that. We want to be able to live a fulfilled life. And what you can do is chase that passion. And yeah, I feel like just being able to sort of sit there and go through your thoughts, I feel like is very important, because a lot of times these days, it's very easy for us to there's so many distractions everywhere. It's so easy to get pulled into certain things where you've got Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, you've got all these different films you can fucking watch, and you don't have to think about sort of being by yourself. You've got social media, you constantly flick through and see what all these other people are doing within their life. And I feel like we get very invested in what other people are doing instead of getting invested in what we're doing in our own lives. And being able to just sit there, what I love doing, and it's what really helps me out, get one of these. Get a notepad, get a pen, sit down, no distractions, and just write your thoughts down. Now, some people like to journal, some people like to sort of go for walks and put on some classical music in their AirPods and just sort of, that's how they digest their thoughts. But just find a way that works for you to be able to just sit there by yourself and almost have a conversation with yourself. I feel like, and not in a crazy way, but I feel like we should be able to sort of talk to ourselves and actually be quite positive towards ourselves as well. And it always feeds back to that discipline and to being fully self-accountable. And I always say how you are the only person who you can truly trust. And when I say that, this is why it's so important to be able to have that brutal self-accountability and to also be a man of your word. Because if you aren't, imagine you're constantly saying you're going to do something and you don't do it. Imagine the negative relationship you're building up in your mind towards those things you're doing. It's going to be very, very destructive. But on the other side of things, if you constantly say, okay, I want to achieve that, and you do it, imagine that positive relationship you're building up in your mind. So you know, if you say something, you're a man of your word, so you're going to make it happen. And you might get that almost rush of adrenaline because you realise, holy fuck, I've just said that, so I have to do it now. And that's something truly, truly powerful, because words can truly become things. If you want a certain avenue of your life to sort of unfold, then being able to say something and make it happen is truly magical, and it makes you dangerous. Like, being able to be that guy that people can look at and they know that if you say something, you're going to fucking do it. That is something really, really good to have. And ultimately, I feel like that's all what we should sort of be striving for. But making sure you're happy with your own company, guys, is super, super important. Whatever sort of way you've got to do that. And like I said, it might take time. You've got to constantly practice it. You've got to constantly push yourself and do sort of things that are going to force you to be alone. And in that solitude, that is where you're going to find peace. I genuinely think that a man being able to be comfortable and happy in his own skin and being happy in his own company, that is when a man finds true peace. So, yeah, guys, I thought I'd just come on and have a bit of a ramble, but I feel like it's an important one. I've spoke to some people recently who've been in sort of situations where they maybe haven't been very happy in their own company, and I think it's important to sort of talk about this stuff. But hopefully you guys got some value from this one. If you feel like you are one of those guys who maybe isn't fully happy in your own company, don't feel like you're abnormal. It's very normal. A lot of guys are like it, but it's something you can overcome. And if it's something you do want to sort of run through and you feel like you need a bit more help, drop a comment, message me. Like, I'm more than happy to sort of speak to you guys. But yeah, just a quick one from me, boys. Hopefully we're all doing well, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.